A number of weight loss programs provide tips for losing those pounds, but few emphasize the importance of keeping that weight off. A new book looks at the importance of maintaining weight loss and offers tips and insider secrets for those who have succeeded. It's called Winning and Losing, and joining us is its author, Stacey Halpern. Stacey, welcome.
Hi, it's winning after losing. The after is important because I'm not a before and I'm not an after, I'm a during.
Okay, great. First of all, tell us your story because you truly have a remarkable story. Let's start with what happened on 9/11, what your weight was, and let's go through your journey.
Well, 9/11 was my turning point. I was 550 pounds and you could see the World Trade Center from where I live. So when it all happened, I could barely get to the window to look at it, and we all didn't know it was happening. We really couldn't comprehend it, but as soon as I did comprehend it, I said, if the world survives this, then I'm going to survive and do something about my weight, and that was the day of my beginning.
And tell me what you did on that tragic day. What you did after that? How did that day change your life forever?
Well, it was the last pizza I ordered on that day, and I had gastric bypass 6 months later. I took off 200 pounds the first year, 100 the second, and 40 the third. But I have to tell you, numbers mean nothing to me. What matters to me is when I ask somebody, how far are you from the date you started? And I finally hit 5 from 5 on April 8th, which means 5 years from 500. That impresses me about weight losses because 90% of the people who lose their weight, 97%, gain it back, but not only gain it back, they gain plus. And people just don't talk about this taboo subjects of maintaining. I mean, how are we going to, if you're going to keep losing and gaining, that's worse than being heavy. So my book addresses the issue of how do we stay here now that we got here.
Right, and I see this as a physician. I really encourage my patients and viewers out there, if they really are in that weight category, that gastric bypass or some type of surgery will help and work. But here's my problem, and I think you're touching on it, and we should really spend some time on this. After the surgery, I'm telling you, after a couple years, I see the weight loss, and they're all coming in again.
Absolutely.
And I say, what happened? And I'm not being critical, but there's, you know, it's the American thing. You come in, you get the surgery, you're done, and they throw you out.
Right.
And there's
well,
nothing
the thing is, people, I'm sorry, what
right,
did you
no.
say?
So explain what we need to do to keep the weight off. You had a second chance. Right. And you and other people, and how do you keep from going back again?
Okay, unless you change your mindset, you're going to go back. And even people with gastric bypass can gain all their weight back. So what you have to do is do things differently this time, and I'll give you an example of a different thing. If you binge for breakfast, most people go and they say to themselves, oh, I blew it. And after you say you blew it, you put on 2,000 to 5,000 calories. The people in the winner's circle in my book, which are people who have maintained from 5 to 20 years, they say that they go to the next meal and they start fresh. And that way, you never become fat from one binge. It's a binge that goes on and on and on. And I know it's easier said than done, but if you practice that one thing, you will not be fat.
Now, to have the gastric surgery done, I know, at least in my program, I'm sure where you went also, you need to really go through a lot of steps. They make you go through a lot of hoops, to make sure you want the surgery. They make you see a psychiatrist. They do all this. But again, do you think that after having such risky surgery that there should be something set up to help people like your book, and you're doing a great job, but maybe something more formalized that it can get out across the country where people need to continue to come in and have tune-ups, if you will?
Well, absolutely. First of all, you cannot make it on your own. You need support. And what you need to do is really decide that this is going to be a way of life. You have to change things that you do. For instance, if I go and eat out, I don't even look at the menu anymore because menus are like foreplay. What I do is, we know what's on menus, let's get real. I tell them to take the menu away, I order, and I take a takeout container, and I split the meal up while I still have a good mind before I start eating. These little changes in my book, they're called celebrating the molehills, not the mountains. People say to me, what was it like to lose all that weight? It's like they're waiting for me to tell them that the Red Sea parted. I count the everyday miracles that occur. For a woman who has 30 pounds, it could be that she can keep up with her child more. For me, it was that I could cross my leg. On the day I crossed my leg, I literally gave a party to my friends. I felt like I entered womanhood. But you are so right. We need to deal with the maintenance issue. What happens is the diet programs deal this much with the food and that much with the maintenance. And that's how they stay in business.
Right. And just on a personal note, when you look in the mirror, and I know this is a tough question, do you see the old you, the new you, the future you? What do you see, and how important is body image? Because it's one thing to lose the weight, but the other thing is to understand who the new person is.
Image is everything. It's the hardest thing to deal with. The weight is much easier than dealing with the image. I have days when I feel like, oh, hey, she's pretty, that girl I'm seeing in the window. And I have days where I have a fat shadow chasing me. I just see myself as a 500-pound woman. I talk to people as if I weigh 500. It's something I have to work on every day. The pain does not disappear with the pounds. And when you realize that all of life is not going to be perfect when you're thin, then you're ready to be grown up and start.
And somebody reading your book, do we get into these? Do you get into these things about body image and how to look at yourself? And,
Absolutely.
And changing your mindset, if you will.
We teach you in the book how to desensitize yourself to your own naked body by continually looking at it in the mirror and growing to love yourself and making changes in your life. You can't just do the same old thing and get new results. You have to change the things you do, change the way you think. You need support group, you need help, and you need to. You understand, if you go back, it is so shameful that it's hard to get back on. So you don't even know if there's another recovery in you. So if you've lost weight, you have to hold on for dear life and make it work, because you never know what's going to happen.
Right. And now let's talk about your relationship, if you will, with Oprah and being on the Oprah show. Oprah's had issues with weight also. Are you helping her with that? And is this book helping her?
Well, she's covered my story for over 20 years, and this is the first time it was a success. You know, the story was a success. And yes, I get letters every day from people who have seen Oprah, and they, you know, all I hear sometimes are excuses. People will say to me, I can't afford to diet. And I say, get real. And I don't mean this in a negative way, because if I were to count all the money I spent on my binge foods, I promise you that fruits and vegetables aren't, you know, don't cost as much as people think. Or they say to themselves, I can't afford a gym. Exercise doesn't take place just in a gym. If you, every time you go to the supermarket, instead of parking next to the handicap and keep circling, you parked at the outer edge of the parking lot, that would be 10 pounds lost in 1 year without even doing anything. People take the easy way out. You have to realize you must make little changes, and those little changes will add up to the mountains that you're looking for. I promise you that.
And 9/11 was important for you because it was such a dramatic event. But what about people watching that just aren't willing to take that step? Help them take that first step, and we'll close on that.
Let me tell you something. It took me years to take that step. I wish to God I started earlier, but I didn't. I say to them, spare yourself. Take every second of your life and use it, because it's going to disappoint you in the end that you lost time. I won't tell you that, you know, that it won't. But you have to start now. If you start right this second, first of all, Monday never comes when you say you're going to start on Monday. But if you start right this second, in 24 hours from now, you will have 1 day under your belt. If you say I'm going to start on Monday, Monday will very likely never come. You can make the change right now. Make one small, oh, this is what I want to tell you. If you just, every time you go to order, you say to myself, what can I do to make one half step up to make a better choice? So if you go to get pepperoni pizza, get regular pizza. Always try to look to make the one healthier choice, and it adds up. It added up to 340 pounds on me of little changes. And the gastric bypass only lasts for about 2 years. Now it's 80% me and 20% the surgery.
Great. Well, that's great advice. I want to mention the book one more time, and then after I'm done mentioning, I want you to give me the website.
Okay.
It's Winning After Losing. Did I say it correctly?
Yes.
Okay, now give me the website.
www.Stacy with an EY, Halprin, H-A-L-P as in Peter, R-I-N.com. And I welcome your letters, because I want to hear what you're going through, and maybe we can help each other.
Great, Stacy. That was very inspirational. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.